show some latest updates in Unison. I'm just gonna show how you can adjust horizontally units. Sometimes it's quite useful, especially when you want to save a bit space, or let's say you have tuplets that you can even out. I'm gonna show a bit later how it can be done. So I'm gonna show like the main mechanics behind this feature and why it can be used. Of course, it's not something that you would use quite frequently, just because in Unison it's already quite nicely done. I mean, in terms of like automation, everything is spaced quite nicely. But you know, sometimes it's kind of like difficult to predict what a user my wish in terms of space saving and just in general how the music score can look. So I'm gonna just start with the simple example. Here we see that we have 3 lines, and in each of those lines we have whole note, and it's followed by the quarter note, right? And the only difference, like let's say on the first line we don't have any changes. I mean, nothing spectacular here. We don't use any attributes. On the second line, you see that we attached attribute to the quarter noter, which tells us that we need to move this quarter note to the left side by 3. Which means like 3 multiple by interval between stuff lines. You can check it out, my webinar that I recorded before, just the documentation to understand what this number really means. But actually, it's just the distance that you can specify here. And the same logic like on a third line, just you tell that this particular note should be positioned a bit to the right side. So let's see how it gets rendered. So this is the default behavior. This is what you get when you want to move this particular note to the left side, and this is where you want to move it to the right side. So of course you can, beside this technique, you can use of course like units compressing, unit stretching in order to control the space and the density of the notes on a particular measure or line. But I'm just first things first, I'm just showing like how it works on quite a simple example. So let's check a more complex example. Here we see that we got a measure with 2 voices, and those voices contain some notes. I mean, you will see what all this text mean once I render the preview. And you see that we have like nested tuplets. Let's see just how it looks. So it looks something like this, and you can notice that those spaces are not even. I mean, it's kind of like difficult to predict where it's possible to make the spaces even, where it's not. It's kind of like psychological thing, more or less, because for example it's quite a simple score, but let's say we have like multiple stuffs with tuplets and I don't know, with other voices, and it can be quite tricky in terms of like, I mean, it's not something we should aim to automate, in my opinion. This is something that we should give to the user to the full control of how they would prefer the score look like. So basically, what can we change here? So let's say we want to move a bit this note. So let's say we tell that it's moved by, let's say, just 1 point, and we'll see. Yeah, it's became a bit closer, and let's adjust this thing. We can tell that it's moved to the left side by the I don't know, let's put this number, we can experiment. It's a bit big, let's say it's 1.2, or rather, let's go with just 1 point. Yeah, it looks more or less good. And let's go here. It also can be moved by 1 point. Let's check it out. And let's say we want to move this as well. Let's go with 1 point for the start. Yeah, sure, we can do it a bit. Let's go even maybe 1.5, maybe that would work. Yeah, you see it's working perfectly fine, and it looks much nicer. And yeah, those things I think can be adjusted by the user because there are literally unlimited, infinite number of edge cases where you can adjust those things. And you also would notice that when I change the position of a certain node, all the following nodes also gets adjusted to the position of this node that the position of the node that I changed. I think it's quite important, of course. It just makes life easier, and yeah. Also, I wanted to show a more complex example. Let's say, yeah, we have such description, which looks like this. And you see that although we have a lot of elements before this chord, we can see that if we move it just a little bit to the left side, it has a bit space upwards, so it would look much nicer. And also this second stuff also would look really cool. So let me just show how we can achieve this. You can either move this node, which would automatically move the chord above, because they belong to the same vertical space, since they played those notes. I mean, this chord and this note, they are played at the same time, so it's quite logical that they would move together synchronously. And you can either move this note or this chord. So let me show how it works. So let's say we move this note to the left side, I don't know, by 4 points or something like this. Yeah, it looks a bit about right, but maybe 5 points. Let's see. Yeah, as you see, we just made all those spaces even on the second stuff, and it looks much nicer here. Also, you can notice that there is a bit space that's reserved for the keys. Usually it's done just to ensure that there is no collisions and everything looks good. But here we can see that we can even make a bit those two nodes a bit closer. So let me show how we can do this. Let's say we move it like, I don't know, maybe 0.5. I think we can do even 1 point. So yeah, it looks a bit smoother. So yeah, this is how it works. I think it's a quite excellent feature, and also it works perfectly fine. I mean, you can just change one position of the node, and everything on different staffs, on different voices also will be adjusted as well. So I think it's quite elegant solution. So yeah, check it out. I mean, for those who are like on this channel for the first time, I mean, I will not be surprised, because like this channel is quite young. You see in front of you like Unison. It's a web application which allows you to render a music score just by typing text. So you can work in a flow. You don't get distracted by anything else. As you see, I'm just using simple editor where I can add my score, and it works in quite minimalistic way. So yeah, this is what comes to the stuff that I wanted to show in this video. So Yeah, thanks a lot and see you next time. Bye.